Hello, I'm Samantha Jolly. It's 4 o'clock and these are our top stories in Perth this afternoon. Police arrest a wanted man, charging him with attempted murder after allegedly ramming a Parmelia home. Manufacturers sound the alarm as soaring electricity costs push up the price of food. Auctions on the rise in Perth as property prices boom. Donald Trump rules out a third presidential debate. And how you can get a free upgrade next time you fly. Police have charged a man with attempting to kill a woman after his car slammed into a house in Parmelia. The 28-year-old is this afternoon under police guard in hospital. Officers launching a search for Daniel Jarris Bell after he allegedly fled the scene of the crash in the early hours of Sunday morning. A 19-year-old woman who was inside the house at the time was taken to hospital. Detectives tracking Bell down at a home in Coolungup last night. Coming up at 4:30, why police say this was a targeted attack. Food manufacturers say they're facing the same cost of living crisis as consumers, with executives sounding the alarm to Parliament this afternoon. They say their power bills are up 30% in the past 5 years, gas prices have doubled in Victoria, and government red tape and freight costs are rising. All of this leading to food inflation jumping 3.3% in the past year alone. A magistrate has slammed the handling of the case against two reality TV contestants accused of torture and rape as a complete balls-up. The pair faced court in Queensland today for a committal hearing where only 3 witnesses were cross-examined. Magistrate Stuart Shearer criticising police for not having the case ready. The duo will return to court in mid-November. A light plane has crashed northwest of Melbourne, killing the pilot. The aircraft came down in a paddock near the small town of Redisdale just after midday. It's believed the pilot was the only person on board. Air safety investigators will examine the cause of the crash. Soon we'll be seeing more auctions in WA, with local agents saying it's the fairest sales method in Perth's rapidly rising market. Alice Murray explains why.
This Wembley home behind me is going to auction, a sales tactic that is rare in WA. But that could be about to change. This Applecross Mansion 2 will sell on the weekend to the highest bidder. Realestate.com has brought in changes, forcing price guides onto all listings, except those that go under the hammer. Many real estate agents say that's restrictive in Perth's exploding market, so now they'll be turning to auctions to get the highest price.
During this time where Perth is still growing and growing rapidly, we do want to make sure that we do not cap the value of the property. It does give us the opportunity to meet the market where there's competition.
Online auctions or online offers are also gaining in popularity here, like for this property in Southern River. Every potential buyer can see the highest bid and there is a clear end date. Perth has a low clearance rate for auctions though, so it seems buyers may need a bit more time to get on board. We'll have more on that at 6.
Billionaire social media mogul Elon Musk has referred to the Australian government as fascist. It was a one-word response to a post explaining Australia wants to fine internet platforms if they don't stop the spread of misinformation online. Assistant Treasurer Stephen Jones has called Musk's comment crackpot stuff. He says stamping out misinformation is a matter of sovereignty. Donald Trump has ruled out another presidential debate with Kamala Harris. He posted on his Truth Social site, there will be no third debate. While most polls and pundits gave it to Harris at his first rally since the showdown, Trump claimed victory.
2 nights ago, Donald Trump and I had our first debate, and I believe we owe it to the voters to have another debate.
Americans go to the polls on the 5th of November. Firefighters in California are struggling to get on top of 4 major forest fires burning east and south of Los Angeles. Dozens of homes have been destroyed and authorities have expanded the state of emergency.
High fire danger across the west.
We hope the winds don't shift and, we're still worried.
5 million people under red flag warnings as low humidity and gusty winds threaten to spread existing fires.
There's still a potential for more people to be disrupted and, heaven forbid, anybody to be injured or killed.
Firefighters pushing back flames in 4 Southern California counties. Governor Gavin Newsom extending the emergency declaration after touring the fire zone. After those fires exploded overnight Tuesday, harrowing tales of survival. As the bridge fire chewed through Wrightwood, California,
the whole south side of Mountain High was fully engulfed and had tried multiple times to call 911, couldn't get through to them.
So Chris Duran says he drove to the fire department.
I showed him pictures of where it was and everything, and they immediately said, okay, we're going to get right on it.
The smoke leaving air unhealthy to breathe. A weekend music festival now canceled. And today, investigators hit suspected arsonist Justin Halstenberg with 9 charges, accusing him of starting the line fire.
I can assure the public that we're going to go hard on this case.
He has not entered a plea. If convicted, the DA says he could go away for life. His family has declined to comment.
The captain and crew of a Sydney ferry are being praised for saving a boatie. The man's dinghy was stranded out of petrol in rough seas near the Heads early this morning. The ferry crew answered his signal of distress, hitching the small boat to the ferry and towing it to a nearby bay. A small detour for the passengers, but one that quite possibly saved a life. Aussie actor Nicole Kidman has put out a heartfelt statement about the passing of her mother, Janelle. Along with her sister, she thanked her well-wishers for the outpouring of love and kindness, saying their mother meant more than they will ever be able to express. Janelle Kidman passed away at the age of 84 following struggles with illness. Thousands of die-hard Hawks fans have headed to Adelaide as their finals hopes go on the line tonight. Hawthorn is the only Victorian team in action this weekend.
Well, Hawthorn is the only Victorian team in action this weekend of the finals, and the Hawkball craze has swept Melbourne this week. There was a bit of an exodus today as fans made their way to Adelaide to see the game in person, but for those who haven't been lucky enough to jag tickets or flights, their eyes will be turning to the big screen here in Melbourne. They'll be packing pubs here in Hawthorn Heartland. It's been draped in brown and gold throughout the week. I'm here with George, who's a die-hard Hawks fan. Yeah,
50-something years.
George, you must be wrapped with the exciting way they're playing footy at the moment.
Very, very excited, but a bit worried. I don't know what Hawkball actually means. Is that a young man's term?
I think the players might have owned it a little bit, but is it a new term to you, is it?
Oh, I don't know what Hawkball actually means. All I know is Ginnivan and the Wizard are making money out of this, but it looks good, though, don't you reckon?
I reckon it's probably more the style of their play that everyone's become infatuated, I guess. As someone who wears the brown and gold, have you enjoyed that, the brash and bold style?
Oh, I'm old school. I'm not sure it would have worked back in the 70s, but it sure definitely works now with all the younger generation and the clapping and the celebrations. Unbelievable. Do you like it?
Yeah, I think it's enjoyable. Yeah, I don't think you can help but get caught up in it. What do you make of Jack Ginnivan saying to some Swans players on social media, we'll see you in 2 weeks?
Well, we want to win a flag. Does that mean that we're disrespectful to Port, to Sydney, to whoever? I mean, of course we want to win this week. We're not saying that we're not disrespecting Port Adelaide. It was a little not childish, but it was a bit of with a mate, a bit of a taunt, I would say. A bit of a remark with a mate. That's all it was. Nothing to be disrespectful about.
Classic Jack Ginnivan, I suppose, as we've come to know him. How do you see tonight pounding out? I don't think so.
Okay.
He's likely to pub in Adelaide anywhere,
Okay.
probably at the game though.
Yeah.
How do you see tonight playing out?
I'm hoping we'll win. No, I don't know what else to say. I'm hoping we'll win. I'm just nervous, very anxious. Who do you think will win?
I hope it's a draw and we go to extra time.
Okay. Who do you bag for?
I can't tell you that. Impartial journalist.
Oh, you are? Okay, impartial. No journalists are impartial.
Good luck, George.
Thank you
Hope
very
you have a lovely evening.
Yeah,
As you can see, the pub's decked out in the brown and gold. Not long to go now until bounce.
Thank you, Rory. Still to come on 7's afternoon news, tension growing over the war in Ukraine as Putin warns against the use of Western weapons inside Russia. And Sweden offers to pay immigrants to return to their home countries.
The 7 News app will give you the news you want every minute of every day, including breaking news alerts. Download the 7 News app now.
You're watching 7's 4 p.m. news live from Perth. Right now it is a sunny and warm 27 degrees in the city. The forecast is coming up soon. The Swedish government plans to boost payments to immigrants who voluntarily return to their countries of origin from 2026. Immigrants who would leave the Scandinavian country would receive 350,000 krona. That's just over 50,000 Australian dollars. Other European countries are also handing out the grant. Denmark, Norway and France offer the incentive. The government says it's the latest move to crack down on migration. Disgraced Hollywood mogul Harvey Weinstein is facing new criminal charges. What he's charged with won't be made public until his indictment is unsealed in a New York City court in November. Earlier this week, Weinstein was rushed to hospital for emergency heart surgery. He's awaiting a retrial after his 2020 rape conviction was overturned on appeal. To intense vision now of the moment a freight train smashed into an 18-wheeler truck, blocking the tracks. South Carolina police say the truck was carrying a military vehicle when it got stuck going over the train crossing. Witnesses say the driver of the truck jumped out of the cab 5 seconds before the collision. No one was hurt. Keir Starmer and Joe Biden will meet in Washington, D.C. today to discuss Ukraine's missile use. Putin says if the leaders allow the country to fire Western-made weapons into Russia, it could seriously escalate the war. Joel Dry reports.
It is set to be a big 24 hours for the war in Ukraine, with the British Prime Minister Keir Starmer flying to Washington for White House meetings with President Joe Biden. It's expected the main topic of conversation will be whether or not to grant Ukraine permission to use the long-range missiles that both the UK and the US give to Ukraine for their use deep in Russian territory. That's what Volodymyr Zelensky would like. He wants to be able to hit Russian targets in that country to break up their ability to strike in Ukraine. But it does remain a very tense question because the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, has said any permission given and any strikes by Western weapons in Russia would mean that NATO countries were effectively at war with the Russian Federation. That would escalate things no end. So it is a very big discussion between the president of the US and the British Prime Minister. We await to see the outcome.
Authorities in the US have approved Apple AirPods to be used as hearing aids. The high-end AirPods Pro 2 model has a special software to customise them to a user's needs.
After you take a hearing test, your AirPods Pro are transformed into a personalised hearing aid, boosting the specific sounds you need in real time, like parts of speech or elements within your environment.
It's recommended they only be used by people with mild to moderate hearing loss. Apple sells the model in Australia for around $400. Lego has built a full-scale drivable version of a McLaren supercar. Formula One driver Lando Norris took it out for a spin around Silverstone. It is the first life-size Lego car able to go round corners.
It actually drives pretty good.
It met the challenge of completing a full lap of the circuit. The Lego McLaren took almost 343,000 Technics pieces and more than 8,000 hours to build. There's early fire fears with a dry spring on the cards, but it could be good news for farmers. Here's Noel Brunning from 7 News Regional WA.
Thank you, Sam. Yes, after a wet winter, a dry spring could be just what the farmer ordered. Record rainfall in some areas is helping produce a bumper crop, and a dry spring could give the perfect window for harvest. Reservoirs are already low for irrigation and firefighting, causing concern, though, for authorities. More than 180,000 hectares of land around Shark Bay will be turned into a conservation estate. The Indigenous Land Use Agreement creating dozens of ranger jobs in the Gascoyne. It's the single biggest increase to conservation land in WA history. And watch out for these lean, green crime-fighting machines. WA police are taking EVs to the bush. The latest trial ahead of the Force's new fleet rollout has started. This time, senior officers are looking to see if the new cars can work in the regions.
Ahead this news hour, a tech billionaire becomes the first ever civilian to start a spacewalk, and how you can get a free upgrade next time you fly. Adrian Barich joins us now. Barich, is Dustin Martin set for a retirement backflip?
I believe so, Sam, and we may not have seen the last of that Richmond champion. I'll have the latest on Dusty's future next. Plus, how the Lions are preparing to take down the Giants in their do-or-die clash. And another win. Life under Daisy just keeps getting better for the Eagles.
The 7 News app will give you the news you want when you need it. Delivered to you every minute of every day. And it's all for free, including breaking news alerts. Download the 7 News app now.
A Dustin Martin bombshell threatens to overshadow week 2 of the AFL finals, with the Richmond champion poised to join the Gold Coast Suns. Martin announced his retirement last month after 302 games, but has since been in contact with the Suns about playing on next season. Martin's move north would reunite him with one of the all-time great coaches, Damien Hardwick, who he played for. The 3-time Norm Smith medalist is a free agent too, meaning he can sign without the Suns needing to do a trade. Can you believe that? Giants tagger from WA, Toby Bedford, is locked in to play in tomorrow night's must-win semi-final against the Lions over a calf injury. Bedford trained in this morning's captain's run. The Giants urging their Orange Army to fill out NG Stadium tomorrow.
We love all the Giants fans to turn up this week. I'm sure they will. We've had great support all year.
We haven't had a home final in a long time, I don't think, so hopefully they can turn out in big numbers.
Despite not playing this weekend, Swans fans were out in force at training today. Captain Callum Mills hoping Sydney make the grand final in 2 weeks to give him enough time to recover from that hamstring injury. And the West Coast Eagles AFLW side has sealed their second win from their opening 3 games under Daisy Pearce after beating the Bulldogs by 11 points last night in Melbourne. Ella Roberts, she starred with 25 disposals, 6 inside 50s and capping off with a goal.
Here goes Roberts. She closes to 40. Open goal square and she gobbles it up.
What a star she is. The victory means West Coast have already matched their win total from last season. And Australia are 2 from 2 in the Davis Cup. Tanasi Kokonakis led the charge as the Aussies demolished Czechia 3-0 in Valencia. The 28-year-old powered past teen Jacob Mensik in 3 sets.
Victory for Kokonakis. A first win for his nation.
Alexei Poprin's opponent Thomas Makak retired hurt 8 minutes into their match. WA's Matt Ebden and Max Purcell cruised to a straight sets victory in the doubles. And the Enduro season is underway in the supercars, with cars hitting the track for practice at Sandown today. They were a few worried faces, though, from the full-time drivers as their co-drivers got behind the wheel. Jack LeBrock and Jaden Ojeda posted the fastest time in today's final session ahead of tomorrow's qualifying and top 10 shootout. OK, that's all happening. And also at 6, a docker has announced his retirement. I'll tell you who that is at 6.
Oh, you're always the man in the know, aren't you, Barich?
Sammy, thank you.
We'll see you at 6. Free flight upgrades to business and first class are rare but not impossible. So how can you secure the best seat on the plane without the hefty price tag? Sean White has been investigating how you can enjoy luxury in the sky for free.
Miss, you cannot be up here.
Hello, Grandpa.
Coach passengers are not allowed up here in first class. It's policy.
But is there a way to get up the pointy end without the price tag?
Is there any way there's any free upgrades at all?
Getting a free upgrade is the challenge. The best way to get an upgrade is to use your frequent flyer points, and there is so much demand for people trying to use their points that on international flights you often have to wait until sometimes the day of departure to get one.
Return Sydney to London business class tickets can cost around $9,000 on Qantas, Emirates and Qatar. Well, flights to LA are slightly cheaper, sitting at around $7,300. It's a big expense most aren't willing to pay, but you can get high-end treatment at a lower price point, and it starts with this.
You have to be a member of the airline's frequent flyer program. You don't necessarily have to be gold or platinum to get an upgrade, but it certainly helps.
In the sky, loyalty is on your side. The more you fly an airline, the more likely you are to get an upgrade. But there is also an element of luck.
Being nice is never a bad thing, but unless the computer had already picked you for an upgrade and looking presentable just keeps you in that seat, I wouldn't say wearing a ball gown to the airport really helps your chances getting an upgrade.
So leave the diamonds and pearls at home. Looking like you live the first class life won't get you a first class seat. And while it mightn't be free, you can also bid for an upgrade for a fraction of the price. Asking at check-in for any paid upgrades can also become your ticket to the pointy end. These seats are usually discounted but not guaranteed. And the top tip to secure your best seat:
the real way of getting an upgrade is to do your research, have the points and know how to use them.
And whatever you do, don't try this next time you fly.
There was a passenger on Delta saying to the cabin crew, "Oh, I know the CEO. I went to college with the CEO," because, they're trying to get a free upgrade on the plane. They weren't happy with their seat. Cabin crew member says back, "Well, you should have kept in touch. Sit down."
I'm leaving.
Thank you.
Sean White, 7 News.
Up next on 7's Afternoon News, a man ploughs a car into a Perth home, now charged with attempting to kill. WA's hospital bed crisis deepens. Staff asked to discharge patients to make room for emergency surgery. And Perth Zoo steps in to help save an endangered turtle. Hello, you're watching 7's Afternoon News live from Perth. Here are the top stories. Police arrest a wanted man after he crashed a ute into a Parmelia home. This afternoon, charged with attempted killing. WA's hospital bed crisis deepens. Staff asked to discharge patients to make room for emergency surgery. Fresh protest mayhem in Melbourne as demonstrators block city bridges on the final day of the Weapons Expo. And an out-of-world experience only money can buy. And our hottest day in 4 months. Will the sunshine stick around this weekend? I'll have your full forecast later this hour. A 28-year-old man has been charged with attempted murder after allegedly crashing a car into a Parmelia home while a 19-year-old woman was inside. He fled the scene with officers tracking him down days later. Rachel Tassica has the details.
A man has been charged with attempted murder after he allegedly drove his ute into a Parmelia home. Police say the 28-year-old deliberately crashed into the home on Gold Street in the early hours of Sunday morning. Inside was a 19-year-old woman who was known to him. Emergency services rushed to the scene. The woman was taken to Royal Perth Hospital. Police launched a search for Daniel Bell after he allegedly fled the chaotic scene. Police swarmed Mackay Place in Coolungup around 9 last night, arresting Bell after 4 days on the run.
Party turned chaotic. Technically, they were fine, and then next thing they went away after the police had arrived, and a little bit later a car came flying into the street, sounding really rough. Exhaust or something was hanging off the bottom of it. There were sparks coming out, you could smell diesel, and next minute it hit the house.
He's been charged with attempted murder, stealing, no authority to drive and assault occasioning bodily harm. We'll bring you the latest on this investigation in the news at 6.
A Perth hospital has been so overwhelmed, staff were sent an SOS frantically calling for patients to be discharged to free up a bed for an urgent cardiac surgery. The West Australian has obtained the report sent to Fiona Stanley Hospital senior staff, which showed the entire hospital was on code yellow with zero capacity. The South Metro Health Service, which oversees the hospital, says the capacity code yellow is a normal internal mechanism used to manage the hospital. Food manufacturers have been hauled in front of Parliament and forced to explain why prices have shot up. They're adamant they're facing the same cost of living crisis as consumers, and their profit margins have been slashed.
Good afternoon. Factory owners want government to help bring down the cost of energy and more tax breaks. Food is the nation's largest manufacturing sector, employing 280,000 people and generating $163 billion every year. But bosses say that is now under threat, with power bills up 30% over 5 years, gas prices doubling in Victoria, government red tape and freight costs rising. Global issues such as shipping and increasing commodity prices for items like coffee and cocoa aren't helping either.
We urgently need targeted capital investment incentives. Domestic manufacturing is becoming increasingly expensive. Costs of labour, transport, energy, commodities, packaging, warehousing continue to rise.
Manufacturers are feeling the pinch of inflation in the same way as households. Operating margins in Australian manufacturing fell from 8.8% to 7.9%.
The opposition is promising to increase the instant asset write-off for businesses from $20,000 to $30,000 and to make it a permanent feature of the tax system. It's also at odds with the government over how to solve the energy crisis, with plans to add nuclear to the system.
It shows also the need to keep going with the plan to get more renewables, the cheapest form of energy, into the system, backed by storage, backed by transmission, backed by gas peaking.
The ideological approach that the government has taken to energy, and particularly around gas, has seen energy prices soar for these manufacturers, cutting their margins to an unsustainable level.
Ultimately, it's consumers paying the price. Food inflation jumped 3.3% in the last year.
Police in Melbourne have kept tight security around the Land Forces Weapons Expo on its third and final day, making multiple arrests. Ainsley Kosh has more.
Well, a new wave of protest activity has just kicked off here in Melbourne in the past hour. As you can see right now, more protesters are here, what they're calling a zombie rave at the moment, protesting what they call is the war machine going on the final day of the Land Forces Expo here in Melbourne. Of course, more police have just turned up, including the mounted branch, preparing for what could be a violent afternoon after what we've seen the past couple of days here in Melbourne. The Spencer Street Bridge remains closed to the public right now, and what is normally a very busy time for commuters. It's also sparked political debate, this conference. We've seen a Green senator turn up today and support the protesters here, saying that we shouldn't have a weapons conference at all. Take a listen to what he had to say.
One of the Greens' core pillars is peace and non-violence, and we reject violence at protests.
What we have seen from the protesters is violent behaviour, and that is utterly unacceptable. What we see from the Greens addressing the protesters today is licensing that sort of behaviour.
Now, despite the chaotic scenes we have seen in the past couple of days outside the Melbourne Convention and Exhibition Centre where the Land Forces Expo is happening, our state government here in Victoria has defended the decision to hold that conference, saying we'll likely hold it again because it's generated around $70 million for the economy.
The Olympic buzz is proving hard to shake, with hundreds turning up to Darling Harbour today at a gala homecoming for our medal-winning athletes. But as Chris Reason reports, the lineup was more notable for who wasn't there than who was.
The official welcome home for our Olympic and Paralympic teams. The days of parades swap for a party in the park, Darling Harbour.
Amazing. I mean, the Paralympians, we're not used to this sort of reception.
A chance for athletes to meet the fans and fans to meet their heroes.
I hope one day I can be one, so it's super inspiring to see them here today.
Emotion really takes over you sometimes. It's just bloody brilliant.
Windsurfer Gray Morris sharing his silverware.
Fantastic. How's that lasting up? It looks a bit tarnished.
It's good. I more see it as the people's medal, so I've been trying to get it around to everyone as much as possible.
We're very, very proud to have you back on home soil. You've done us all so proud.
Questions, though, about the organisation of the event today. The crowds, not as big as they'd hoped, nor the number of athletes. No gold medalists could make it.
For the four from New South Wales, the Fox sisters competing overseas, BMX champ Saya Sakakibara 2, swim star Olivia Wunsch sitting the HSC.
It's been a few weeks already since the Olympics, so a lot of our Olympians are away. They're gone back to work.
Events nationwide to come. Brisbane, Perth and Melbourne tomorrow.
Go Australia! Good luck in LA in 2028.
Chris Reason, 7 News.
More than 250 people piled into a Liberal Party town hall meeting in Floreat last night to discuss planned high-rise residential developments in the western suburbs. Opposition to a new 20-storey apartment building was made loud and clear by some, with several community groups calling for the plans to be changed.
The impact in terms of loss of natural light would be significant. It would also be significant for the sporting clubs that are across the road, but also our homes. People's homes will be in shadow for parts of the day, and that's just unacceptable.
Plans by developer APIL for the Floreat Forum site are open for public comment until early November. An American tech billionaire has performed the first ever commercial spacewalk. As Miley Hogan reports, it's an historic milestone for privately funded travel among the stars.
It's an out-of-this-world experience that money can buy, but only if you are a billionaire. This is the moment that tech entrepreneur Jared Isaacman made history, opening the hatch and stepping out into the vacuum of space.
Back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, Earth sure looks like a perfect world.
It's the first time a private astronaut has done this, floating there, taking in the views of Earth some 720 kilometres below. The spacecraft the crew travelled in does not have an airlock, so the crew had to decompress and open the entire capsule, exposing all 4 crew members to the vacuum of space, but only 2 went out. After Isaacman returned, engineer Sarah Gillis climbed out. You can see her bending and stretching, testing the new spacesuit. Those suits tethered to an oxygen line, stopping them from floating away. One of the main objectives of this mission is to put those new spacesuits to the test. It's hoped they can be used for potential future missions to the Moon and Mars.
We haven't had a new spacesuit in over 40 years. So all the latest technology since then integrated into a new tech suit.
The crew were launched into space on Elon Musk's rocket, billionaire Jared Isaacman picking up the bill for an undisclosed amount. Spacewalks are usually reserved for professional astronauts who work for government agencies. Today, NASA praising the privately funded mission, calling it a giant leap forward for the commercial space industry.
Stay with us after the break. Prince William stands in for his father, the King, at an important military parade. Firefighters in California are struggling to get on top of 4 major forest fires burning east and south of Los Angeles. Dozens of homes have been destroyed and authorities have expanded the state of emergency. In other news, a major milestone has been reached in the reconstruction of Notre Dame in Paris, with the cathedral's bells returned for installation. The 8 bells have been cleaned and restored as Notre Dame prepares to reopen in December, more than 5 years after a devastating fire caused major damage. The 12th century Gothic cathedral was being renovated when a blaze tore through its wooden rafters and roof. The bells will return to the cathedral's northern belfry in the coming weeks. Prince William has taken the lead at the Sovereign's Parade, stepping in to represent his father, King Charles. Sporting full military uniform and his new beard, the Prince of Wales took the salute from parading officers and inspected the guard. In a speech to graduating officers, William reflected on his own time at the RAF base in Lincolnshire. He completed his pilot's training there, collecting his wings in 2008. Pope Francis is on his way home to the Vatican after wrapping up the longest tour of his papacy. Last night, he celebrated Mass for 50,000 faithful at Singapore's National Stadium. Today, before boarding the plane for Rome, the 87-year-old pontiff visited the sick and elderly at a local nursing home. During his 12-day tour, Francis also visited Indonesia, Papua New Guinea and East Timor. To finance news, and local shares have managed to finish the week higher. Here's James Tower from ING Bank with more.
Good afternoon. It was a positive finish to the week for the local share market. The ASX 200 up 24 points or 0.3% at the close, although at the best levels of the day we're up close to 70 points and within touching distance of record highs that we hit in August this year. Still, for the course of the week, we're up about 1%, and the main drivers today really came through from that mining space. We had a rebound in the price of iron ore, so Fortescue Metals up about 5%. Gold prices also at record levels. Gold miner Evolution, one of the best on the market today, up about 7%. We did see the banks hold the market back a touch. The big 4 lenders were all down, led by the NAB, down more than 1% today. The Aussie dollar, though, continues to strengthen. It's holding above 67 US cents, currently buying about 67.2 US cents.
Perth 6pm News is coming up with Sue. Sue, what's on the program?
Sam, the man accused of attempting to kill a Parmelia teenager faced court this afternoon. We'll tell you what happened when he appeared from his hospital bed. Plus, the killer of a Pemberton father learns his fate. John Dellafranca appears in court for his sentencing over the 2021 murder of Tony Dietrich. We take a look at how clinical trials are saving lives, including those of footy champions Jared Roughhead and Robert Walls. Qantas has quietly increased fees for changing or cancelling flights, what it means for your next holiday. And WA Police go green, announcing new electric vehicles on WA roads. We'll tell you when they'll begin patrols. Those stories plus much more coming up soon. Sam.
Thank you, Sue. We'll see you then. Hurricane Francine has made landfall as a Category 2 storm in the American state of Louisiana, with powerful winds up to 160 kilometres per hour, ripping off roofs and knocking out power for tens of thousands after making landfall. This report from the NBC's Jesse Kirsch.
With Hurricane Francine hammering New Orleans, the city told people to stay home. This is why.
That water is almost to the window of that pickup truck right there.
NBC affiliate WDSU was live on the air as this pickup truck wound up in feet-deep floodwaters, floating and spinning with a man trapped inside. Reporter Jonah Gilmore alerted police.
Officer, they have a truck right here.
My brother had texted me saying somebody had just driven into the water.
Miles Crawford lives close by. The University Medical Center nurse grabbed a hammer and walked into the water.
It looked like they're climbing out of the backseat right now. That guy just broke that window.
The man escaped with difficulty.
Oh my goodness, he just fell in the water. That Good Samaritan's helping.
As the pair moved toward higher ground, the fire department arrived. Then we learned about Miles Crawford and his humility.
I'm a nurse, so gotta save lives, right?
There's a real difference between someone being brought to you in a hospital and you putting your own life at risk in floodwater to save a life.
Honestly, that was easy compared to what goes on behind those doors right here. We just do the best that we can with the situation at hand. Be kind to others, and if they need any help and you're able to help them, just help them out.
Kindness, exactly what so many in Louisiana could use tonight.
He's known for playing Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, and today Ewan McGregor was recognised for his contribution to film with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. The Scottish actor, also known for his roles in Trainspotting and Moulin Rouge. McGregor was joined by his family and Star Wars co-star Hayden Christensen. An Australian video game studio is bringing a much-loved character back to life. Carmen Sandiego's adventures will be playable in an interactive game. The elusive thief will also travel through Brisbane.
Over 3.6 billion people are gamers, so this is a huge amount of people that we can expose our wonderful destination to.
The cult classic will be available via Netflix Games before being released on all major consoles. Perth dumpling queen Jackie Chan has opened her 8th restaurant, but this one is a little different. Lockie Byrne went along to check it out.
Well, if this private dining room looks anything like a revamped prison cell to you, it's because it is. It's one of the many hidden gems inside Moon and Mary, the most ambitious project in Perth entrepreneur Jackie Chan's career. The building originally part of the convict establishment, which split into Fremantle Prison and the Fremantle Police Complex. This building, the lockup, the history written on the heritage listed walls, etchings from past inmates across the beer garden and cells.
Fremantle's hip and happening, and in this pocket that I'm in, we've got quite a few offering really good F&B offerings here. So. Just gives the general public another choice.
An outdoor bar, 100-seat restaurant, speakeasy, beer garden and a number of private dining rooms make up the 800-square-foot space. The building left empty for more than 20 years, but the owner of Perth favourites like Miss Chow's and Lucy Lou saw the potential.
My designer's a bit of a genius, so we came for a walk through. I was spinning after that, and he came up with the plan, and being able to have little segregated areas, I think makes it a little bit more intimate with smaller areas, and yeah, it turned out really well.
The Asian fusion menu crafted by a culinary prodigy, Zane Morrison, just 27 years old, raised in Fremantle before spending years in Singapore.
We're just trying to bring some fresher flavours, some of our own spins on classics as well. You know, we're just trying to put out good food for good people.
And we'll tell you more about this remarkable venue and, of course, the menu in the news at 6 tonight.
Thank you, Lockie. Scientists have reached a milestone in their efforts to boost the population of the critically endangered western swamp tortoise. They've released 20 of the reptiles near Moore River north of Perth. The tortoises, some of which were bred at Perth Zoo, have also been fitted with radio transmitters to help scientists better understand their behaviour.
The turtles go for a checkup at the zoo to make sure they're cleared for release, and then we take them a couple days prior to attach radio transmitters to them and let them settle for a couple days and then come out here and release them.
The team will return over the next 12 months to monitor their progress. What a way to end the working week. Hot and sunny in Perth today. Will it last for the weekend? Your forecast is next.
Now, Fuel Watch. Perth's petrol prices brought to you by Fuel Watch and 7 News.
Checking the weather now, we had our warmest day in more than 4 months, 28.4 degrees in the city this afternoon. A very different story on the east coast, a cold snap for Tasmania, a cold and windy top of 12 in Canberra tomorrow, frost for Melbourne, a mostly sunny 24 in Sydney. Back to Perth, the sunshine is sticking around this weekend and so is the warm weather, a top of 27 degrees in the city tomorrow, slightly cooler on Sunday but still 25. We are back up to 27 on Tuesday and then getting a little cooler from Wednesday with a maximum of 23 degrees through to Thursday and down to 21 next Friday. And that's Perth's 4 p.m. news. I'm Samantha Jolly and I'll be back with Sue and Barra for 7 News at 6. The Chase Australia is next.